Broadcasts of HIKI NŌ are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI NŌ.
Aloha, I'm Victoria Cuba, a HIKI NŌ graduate from Waipahu High School's class of 2014. I just completed my freshman year at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where I plan to double major in journalism and media. I'm also a part-time studio technician here at PBS Hawaii, usually working on the other side of the camera. You'll learn more about my journey later on in the show. But now, I'd like to welcome you to this special edition of the nation's first statewide student news network. For the next half hour, I'll be sharing some of the most outstanding stories from the spring quarter of the 2014-2015 school year with you. I think you'll be amazed at the high caliber of visual storytelling coming out of our middle schools and high schools. Proof positive that Hawaii students HIKI NŌ can do. Our first story comes from the island of Kauai, where students at Kapaa High School prove that you can have a friend for a day, especially if he or she is man's best friend. And sometimes, the experience leads to a lifelong relationship.
Here on the island of Kauai, the Humane Society offers a special treat for locals and visitors. They allow them to take a dog out on a field trip. This unique idea came about unexpectedly from an employee's suggestion.
The field trip started about 2.5 years ago, kind of on a lark, if you will. Somebody made an offhand comment about taking a dog out for a day, and it just expanded from there. And over the first 6 months, we just put a lot of thought into how can we make this work as a program rather than just something somebody does on a whim.
After months of planning, they launched the Doggy field trips, the first of its kind in the United States, and it was a success.
I'd never been in a Humane Society before till we came on vacation here, and we took her out for a field trip. We took her out in the morning and took her to Mahalapu Beach. She wore an Adopt Me vest. A lot of people paid attention to her. She enjoyed her day out. And when we left here, it was a little emotional, wondering whether or not she was going to be adopted. And she did get adopted. And in that time while we were here on our field trip that day, we met another dog here who had been surrendered. She was 7 years old, and we adopted her last week.
Visitors arrive in the morning, pick up a dog, and take them to a variety of places suggested by the Humane Society, including dog-friendly beaches, bike paths, and hikes.
So they get to go out for the day, whether it's the beach, whether it's a hike. They get to get exposed by other visitors, as well as themselves. They may be somebody that has a home or that is looking for a dog that has a home that will allow a dog, and they end up getting adopted because they fall in love with them.
The Doggy field trips have led to an increase in adoptions, with an average of 2 to 4 more dogs a week finding their forever home.
I think it's amazing. I think it's a great thing that they've done. I think it's allowed for so many dogs to be adopted.
Visitors are the most frequent users of the field trips, and some find themselves with a furry souvenir from their trip to Kauai.
Funny, a lot of people that already have dogs, 2 and 3 dogs back to the mainland, they come over here, do the Doggy field trip, and all of a sudden they're bringing a 4th dog home, kind of thing. So it's a great program.
With a total of over 200 dogs having been adopted so far, the field trip program is still going strong. This is Samantha Gilbert from Kapaa High School for HIKI NŌ.
Have you ever been the last kid picked for the dodgeball team? That kind of humiliation and the anxiety it generates are some of the downsides to the traditional approach to physical education classes. In our next story, students from Eva Mackay Middle School on Oahu show us that the PE class of the future has arrived, with an approach that uses technology to get everyone involved.
With the rise of technology in our lives, many feel physical education is stuck in the past. But the Eva Mackay PE department has taken a whole new mindset and thinking to challenge their students.
I thought it was going to be more sweating and more playing outside.
I really thought that PE was actually going to be kind of torturous.
Technology does help students learn. And so for some, they need to hear it. Some people need to see it. Some people need to sing it. Some people need to write it down. And technology allows that. Technology gives many avenues to learn. PE tends to be The most athletic kids do well because they can demonstrate it. And then you have somebody with no skill, no experience of it, and now they're expected to do that same skill. But now with technology, maybe they can't necessarily perform it, but they can express it. You know, whether it's through song, whether it's a PowerPoint, whether it's even seeing themselves.
Merging physical education with technology allows all students an equal chance to express what they have learned, making the focus less on the physical aspect and more on the educational aspects of PE, such as taking interactive notes and using heart rate monitors to control the speed and time at which they exercise.
I think the most helpful piece of technology would be our heart rate monitor unit done by Mrs. Combs. She's able to track her students' progress daily in terms of them working out in their target heart rate zone. The heart rate monitor can be something done outside of class. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment, and it can keep you healthy aerobically. You know, our PE program here, we don't focus on traditional sports, and we want students to be lifelong, healthy, and productive citizens.
I believe the technology that helped me the most was when we took videos from the iPad, because when I reviewed them, I knew what I was doing wrong. And the next time when I was ever to do that same activity again, I was sure not to do that same mistake again.
I think about PE after using technology is like more easier and simple, because then later on in the years we can look back to what we've learned.
The Eva Mackay PE department has helped students learn a new way to stay healthy by combining traditional sports with new technology. This is Faith Borges from Eva Mackay Middle School for HIKI NŌ.
My HIKI NŌ journey began in my senior year at Waipahu High School, when I was the subject of a HIKI NŌ story about my experience as a student who happened to be homeless. Later that year, I was a reporter on a HIKI NŌ story about a vision-impaired musician-composer. The journey continued even after I graduated from high school, when HIKI NŌ students at my alma mater decided to do a follow-up story on my life as a freshman at the University of Hawaii. Here's what they found.
So my name is Victoria Cuba.
Victoria Cuba is no stranger to the camera. As a senior at Waipahu High School, she first revealed to HIKI NŌ how she conquered and persevered through the hardships of being homeless. Now, Victoria continues to share her story with others as a student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. She was awarded a full scholarship and lives in a dorm on campus. It's a far cry from the car she once slept in with her family in Eva Beach.
Dorm life, I really like the independency that a student has. It's a lot different from living with your parents. You live on your own, but you also have the opportunity to go to someone when you're in need of help, like your RA or your roommate or your other peers. It's different from my home life before because, of course, I have someplace I can sleep and study. I remember telling someone that I wish my family could live with me because it's not fair that I could enjoy dorm life and yet they still have to live in the same situation.
Victoria learned that taking advantage of a life-changing opportunity isn't easy, and seeking her dreams means conquering new obstacles.
I think the biggest challenge I faced is managing my time wisely, because my classes are clumped together in the beginning of the morning, but the rest of the day, I have to discipline myself to study. I have to make sure I'm not being distracted by other things like Netflix. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much time on my hands, I don't know what to do with it.
Despite her new surroundings, Victoria says she's not closing the door on her difficult past. Today, her story continues to spread all over social media and inspire those around her.
I do get people who come up to me now and then like, oh, you know, you're the girl from the TV and, you know, thank you for sharing your story. I give you props for having the courage to do that.
Seeing the impact her story had on others opened Victoria's eyes to the power of media. She's now an intern at PBS Hawaii, learning how things work behind the scene.
I would say my dream is a work in progress. I'm not yet a journalist. I mean, I am working for Kuleo, and I am trying my best in school. I'm not able to help my family out financially, but I think emotionally it's a lot different. Like my family's outlook on life is a lot more positive,
They're very supportive of me. You know, it's progressing.
Victoria proves that dreams can come true if you have the imagination and courage to pursue them. She says even if times are hard, it's always important to try.
You know ahead of time.
Yeah, I know ahead of time.
My message to people who are in my situation now or was in my situation would be that, you know, to never give up hope that you can better yourself. There's always a way out of it. And also be really grateful for the people you have in your life, good or bad, because they make you stronger.
This is Camille Limako from Waipahu High School reporting for HIKI NŌ.
Yay!
Having been the subject of 2 HIKI NŌ stories, I really appreciate how I was treated by the reporters, always with respect, compassion, and professionalism. As a fledgling journalist, it's good for me to experience what it's like to be on the receiving end of a reporter's questions. I'm sure the subject of the following story from Manoa High School also appreciated the way he was treated by the HIKI NŌ journalist at his school.
So be patient, please.
When it comes to history class, Moanalua High School teacher Mr. Chris Pascal doesn't do things by the book. There are barely any reports or exams. In fact, students rarely sit at their desks.
We're so used to the traditional way of like, let me display my learning on that. Here's a paper and here's a test. You have an hour to do it. I'm giving these standards or these topics that students need to know about and learn, but every class has a personality. And so what I do is I have to figure out how am I going to be able to teach this content to a student.
Mr. Pascal often uses performance and art to encourage students to learn in their own way.
Singing it, rapping it, acting it out, whatever, drawing it, whatever it may look like, it's the same thing if they're displaying their learning through different venues.
To keep creativity flowing in his classroom, Mr. Pascal draws inspiration from another art form, hula. For more than 9 years, he's been training at Halau na Kamale Ulelehua under Hawaiian music legend Mr. Robert Cazimero. Here in the studio, the teacher becomes the student.
If you profess for in this case, our hula to be a living art, then it must incorporate everything that's happening now and what was and eventually will be. It's the journey that really helps you, and you change according to what's happening around you.
Making a return after 10 years, Mr. Pascal and his halau were able to compete in hula's most prestigious competition, the Merry Monarch Festival. Winning first place overall only increased his love of the festival and hula itself.
The overall winner of the 2015 Merry Monarch Festival.
And I don't know how to explain it. It's just here. So how do I say it in one word or a sentence? It's everything. It's Merry Monarch was Maiki Ayu Lake, who's my kumus kumu. It's everything that has been passed down from generation to generation so that tradition is maintained.
Reaching a major milestone with his halau has motivated Mr. Pascal to ignite that same passion in the classroom, passing his own knowledge to the next generation.
So how it inspires my teaching? Everything. Merry Monarch helped me become a better person. When I step into my classroom, it inspires me to be a better teacher. For me and my students, all I want them to do is have a great life, to have an experience in my classroom, to learn history that they're going to feel it instead of just memorize it, to know what it was like to live in a specific history of time period versus memorizing a date.
Mr. Pascal's class is different because he incorporates performance and speaking your true voice and like not letting others influence you. Refreshing, like you don't just come to read from the textbook, you come to perform, you come to draw, you come to write an essay, you come to make a PowerPoint.
All right. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. That is my way of continuing the legacy, right? So every time that I teach and and the approach to it is from my inspiration from hula and people that have inspired me.
Mr. Pascal's history class may be just one of the many in his students' lives. However, through the gift of song and dance, they're able to cherish and even share his lessons for years to come. This is Adara Pineda from Moanalua High School for HIKI NŌ.
Football, basketball, baseball, and volleyball. These are the major team sports you find at most high schools. But what's it like trying to get people excited about a sport played by only 2 high schools on your island? A sport whose roots are in Native American tribal culture. The following story from Kauai High School shows how this noble game is trying to find a home on the island of Hawaii.
A fast, physical, and challenging sport has arrived at Kauai High School in Kealakekua, Hawaii. Lacrosse is a true American sport. It was started by Native Americans and was originally known as medicine game. Now, Kauai PE teacher Daniel Kern is on a mission to develop lacrosse into a mainstream activity in Hawaii.
You see kids walking around campus with lacrosse sticks or buying their own equipment or watching videos on their own. I think the level of interest and commitment is there. And I also have to keep in mind that this is a brand new sport and it's got to be fun. You got to teach the love of the game. I think with the level of talent that we have, especially here at Kauai, we have some athletes that could really excel in the game of lacrosse. And I think it's a great cross-training sport for our football players in the spring.
Starting a lacrosse team in Hawaii has unique challenges. As the head of the only other lacrosse team on the island, Hawaii Preparatory Academy coach Will Zucker knows them all too well.
You're taking a sport that has, really zero awareness within the community and trying to get buy-in from kids, from schools, from administrators, and from parents to say, hey, this is a foreign sport to you guys, but we're here to stay. So we're recruiting, which is difficult, right? And obviously, when you start a lacrosse program, and I've been through this many times, you're competing against other sports from your same season. So there's that issue. There's the fact that there aren't many schools to play. And that's probably our biggest obstacle here on the Big Island.
Hawaii is a third team, Punahou School on Oahu, that occasionally flies over for games. But even on the same island, travel is difficult.
And I know that there's obstacles that we face here at Kauai, biggest one being travel. A lot of our kids come from Ocean View, which is an hour-and-a-half commute, and they have to ride the bus after practice, and they don't get home until 8:30 later at night.
Young men and women practice and compete together on the same team. They joined lacrosse for different reasons.
The most interesting thing I like about lacrosse is its heritage, its Native American backgrounds, and I'm Native American myself, so it's nice to play something that is historical to my blood.
I joined lacrosse because I seen it as like an open way for me to join a sport, and my friends wanted a sport to join. So when they said that lacrosse was going to be fun, I jumped in on the option.
Those who play it say lacrosse is more than just a sport. It bonds players beyond the field.
I had a coach that told me one time that if you were to be hitchhiking anywhere and you had a lacrosse stick over your shoulder, if another lacrosse player drove by you, they would pick you up, because that is how close of a community lacrosse is. And that's what I want these kids to experience. I want them to experience that community.
This is Shomesh Tamal Selvan from Kauai High School for HIKI NŌ.
Many of Hawaii's HIKI NŌ students compete against schools all across the country at the annual Student Television Network video competition. In fact, HIKI NŌ schools walked away with 28 awards at this year's STN competition in San Diego. But one Hawaii school decided to do something different during their STN trip. In the process, they learned that it is far better to give than to receive. Here's their story from Maui Waena Intermediate School.
On March 24, 2015,
24 students from Maui Waina Intermediate School began their journey to Student Television Network's annual convention held this year in San Diego, California. The students were excited about seeing the zoo and playing the snow, but this year, the students decided that they wanted to do something a little different.
When we went to STN 2014, we actually shot a video at the Church of Nazarene. And what the video was about was college students from around the country came to the Church of Nazarene and built caskets for the infants. When we were in the car, I went up to Mrs. Suzuki. I was like, we should do community service next year so we can give back.
And that's exactly what the students did when they arrived in San Diego, volunteer.
Has it been 4 or 3 hours?
Today they've been working out in the hot sun on a hillside helping us clean up our Australian garden here that's been in the park for over 45 years, but it's sort of fallen on hard times.
The group worked for nearly 6 hours in Balboa Park and cleared about half an acre of weeds and invasive plants in the city's largest urban park.
I've been a park ranger in Balboa Park for 20 years and I've rarely seen a group work harder than the FE2 group all the way from Hawaii did today.
I experienced hard work, and to me hard work is commitment, and commitment is putting your project first. Just sticking to something alone is just a great deal for us.
Their effort to help the community did not end at Balboa Park. The next 2 mornings, the group woke up at 4 o'clock a.m. to prep food and serve breakfast to more than 300 homeless people at the largest homeless shelter in the city, Father Joe's Village. This took about 3.5 hours each day.
People have a vision or an assumption of what is homeless or what homeless people look like, and what I've learned is that homeless people are of all kinds of ways and walks.
I thought they would be like all mean and stuff, all grumpy. But now that I've seen family, like they have found me and they're like all kind to us, like that changed my perspective. And that really opened me to doing this more often.
After the volunteering, the actual competition began. Maui Waina entered 9 video contests. The team took home 3 first places, 1 third place, and 2 honorable mentions. Even though they are proud, the students remember the days of giving back as their favorite moments in San Diego.
I'm so proud of their accomplishments at the contest, but I'm really more proud of the people they're becoming. You know, it's our goal in our program to have them be better thinkers, better communicators, but most of all, just better people. And by, you know, integrating this community service into our projects and into our trips, I think it's going to become habit for them, and it's going to help them to do this throughout their life. And we'll definitely be doing it next year.
You did an amazing job today.
This is Maya Del Cruz from Maui Waina Intermediate School for HIKI NŌ.
When HIKI NŌ students choose to do a profile on an interesting person, there's usually too much stuff to fit into a single story. Their first instinct is to try to tell the person's entire life history in 3 minutes. Once they realize that this approach won't work, they narrow their focus to a single aspect of that person's life. That's when the magic happens. Here's a profile of musician Mark Yamanaka by students at Mid-Pacific Institute who focused on one question: can a non-Hawaiian become a Hawaiian musician?
Mark Yamanaka has won 8 Nahoku Hano Hano Awards, including Male Vocalist of the Year and Album of the Year for both his CDs, Leipua Kenny Kenny in 2011 and Le Maili in 2014. Both of his CDs reached the top 10 on Billboard's World Album Charts.
Hokus are great, and I'm going to speak for myself because there are so many people out there that really live by trying to win a hoku. Because, you know, it is the highest honor of musicianship here in the islands. I've never strived for that, you know. When I release CDs or make music, I want to make music for the audience, for myself, for my kids, for my family, so that it'll live forever. There were a lot of challenges for me being non-Hawaiian, doing Hawaiian music. I would say was a huge burden on my shoulders. And I don't think a lot of people realized what I was feeling inside, you know, in my mind and in my heart. My next challenge from those thoughts were to learn Hawaiian music to the best of my ability and gain respect from all these people that I've admired who had performed Hawaiian music. And I think that was my primary goal as a musician growing up. So, you know, for all you folks out there that love Hawaiian music, just do it, you know. Learn it properly, do it the right way with the language, and everything will be okay. There's no wrong in doing it.
This is Bailey Ogawa from Pacific Institute for HIKI NŌ.
I hope you've enjoyed watching these outstanding HIKI NŌ stories from the spring quarter of the 2014-2015 school year, as much as I've enjoyed presenting them to you. Seeing these amazing stories inspires me in my quest to become a professional journalist and makes me appreciate even more the training I've received as a HIKI NŌ student. For PBS Hawaii and HIKI NŌ, this is Victoria Cuba. Ahui ho!
Broadcasts of HIKI NŌ are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI NŌ.